Hello everybody, this is Derek A. Smith, also known as Dr. Negotiator, and welcome to Negotiate to Win-Win. Now, in this recording, I'm going to talk to you about 6 tactics for winning real estate negotiations. Now, often people come to me and they ask this question. It goes something like this. Derek, I hate to negotiate, but I'm a real estate investor, so I have to negotiate. How does a real estate investor who hates conflict not only negotiate, but negotiate to win? And to them, my answer is very simple. Let me start by saying this. I have a buddy who just sold a company that he owned for 8 years for $20 million. So he's a very rich guy right now. And he told me that getting wealthy isn't very hard. Now, I know that we were in the Air Force together, and he started this company in his basement, and in only 8 years, he was able to sell it for $20 million. And he said there are just a handful of basics that I need to master to get there. So my answer to you is that it's also true when it comes to negotiations. If you master these 6 rules of negotiation, you'll get win-win agreements almost every time. Number 1, you need to start with a fair price and a fair offer. Now, I know we as investors are also, are usually taught to give lowball offers and then hype up the price for our buyers. And then we get that spread in between. That becomes our assignment fee. But there's no question that significantly overpricing a home would turn off your buyers. Likewise, making a very lowball offer that's far lower than the asking price would almost guarantee that you're going to alienate your sellers. It might seem obvious, but asking and offering prices should be based on recent sale prices, or comps, as we call them. To win more often than not, you need to make your offers reasonable and make them fair. Now, I know you're not going to like this one. Number 2, respect the seller's priorities. Knowing what's most important to the seller or buyer can help you avoid pushing too hard on hot or sensitive issues. I call this knowing their why. For example, a seller who won't budge on the sales price might be willing to pay more of the transaction costs or make more repairs to the home, while a buyer with an urgent closing date might be willing to pay a higher portion of the transaction costs or forego some of the major repairs. Number 3, be prepared to compromise. Win-win doesn't mean both the buyer and the seller will get everything they want. Most people think I get everything I want, he gets everything he wants. It's not quite like that. There's going to have to be some concessions made. It means both sides will win some and give some. So rather than approaching negotiations from an adversarial winner-take-all perspective, focus on your top priorities and don't let your emotions overrule your better judgment. Number 4, you want to meet in the middle. So if you can't decide who will pay the recording fee, can't agree on a close of escrow date, arguing over cosmetic repairs, or any other situation that you might be arguing about with the other party, splitting the difference is a time-honored and often successful negotiation strategy. You can pay half the fee, you can count off half the days, you can fix half the problems, half the blemishes. You can meet in the middle, and then you can both come to a win-win solution. Number 5, leave it aside. Politicians and corporate executives are famous for future discussion agreements. They always say we can talk about it in the future. If you have a major sticking point that's not material to the overall contract, for example, the purchase of furniture or fixtures in the house, finish the main agreement, then resolve the other difficulties in a side agreement or amendment. This technique allows both sides to recognize and solidify basic areas of the agreement. Then you can move ahead towards a fair compromise on terms and conditions. There's always going to be concessions. Hopefully you won't be given most of them. Summarizing the points of agreement in writing is another helpful strategy that you may want to use. Number 6, the final one, is that you should ask for advice. Successful investors, especially wholesalers, tend to be experienced negotiators. They've seen what works and what doesn't in countless real estate transactions. And they've established a track record of bringing buyers and sellers together. Folks, they've been in the trenches. You should consult a trainer or mentor about negotiating strategies, win-win compromises, and creative alternatives. You do this enough and you will learn from these people, and then you become a better negotiator yourself. So once again, I've given you 6 tactics for winning real estate negotiations. I hope you enjoy these, and I hope you come back to visit my page for the next installment in how to have win-win negotiations. I'm Derek Smith, signing off. Until next time, Go out there, practice, and enjoy your negotiations.